So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, as usual, we will be discussing Indian Express newspaper. We will go through the important articles which can be important for you from your exam point of view and otherwise also if you are trying to keep a track of the current affairs. So let's start with the discussion. We will start with the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture. We will see that, we will explain that, and then we will move further to the articles which are important for us. So first article will be counter terror steps in Jammu and Kashmir. So recently there was this attack which has happened on a pilgrims bus, and when we are talking about this attack, and otherwise also if we see recently since 2021 we have seen that in the south of Pir Panjal there was this frequency of attack which has increased. Okay, so we will be talking about that. We will talk about the reasons attached to that. Then NEET UG 2024 retest. So basically this particular exam NEET 2024 has been in controversy for a while. Okay, and now the high level committee has come up with you can say a solution to that. They have said that there will be nearly more than 1500 students who will be going for the retest. So that is one thing we will be talking about. Then Sikkim landslides. Recently there was this landslide because of which nearly more than 1000 pilgrims, or you can tourists, these tourists were stuck over there. So we'll talk about that. Then G7 summit. Okay, so obviously you know that these, when we are talking about these global sevens, or when we see this grouping, that is important for us from exams point of view, because there are questions related to the international organization. So we'll talk about that. Then for your own read there will be one article, and then we'll move to the practice question in the end. Okay, this is the front page of the newspaper. We will be discovering this particular news over here. PM deploys full spectrum of counter terror steps in Jammu and Kashmir. Other than that, there is this you must have heard about this Kuwait incident which has happened, which we have already covered in news program. Okay, other than that, we have also covered the aspect like what are the problems which migrants are basically facing when they are going for abroad for works and employment. Okay, so that is about it. So let's start with the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture. Which of the following benefits are not available to Agniveers? Okay, we have talked about this scheme, that is Agnipath scheme. Under that, those who are recruited, they are called Agniveers, and they are allowed certain benefits after their service is completed. After 4 years there will be a Seva Nidhi. That Seva Nidhi will be given to them. That will be nearly around 11.71 lakh rupees. Okay, at the time of end of the contract, because it is the service of 4-year contractual basis service. Okay, then other than that, if we talk about certain benefits post retirement like pension and gratuities, these are not allowed to Agniveers. Okay, so here they are asking you which benefits are not allowed. So you can say A and B. Option D would be the right answer, that is both A and B. Okay, now coming to the Agnipath, we have already discussed all these things here. No pension and no gratuity. This is one of the issues which are related to the this Agnipath scheme. Okay, we have discussed other issues like limited retention of 25%, and it covers there are concerns related to the job security, and it is a short service recruitment. When we are talking about, it is just only for the 4 years. Okay, so that is about Agnipath scheme. You can go through this slide. We have already discussed it in the previous lecture. Now coming to the first article, that is basically related to your terror attacks which are happening in Jammu and Kashmir. Recently you must have heard that a bus of pilgrims has been attacked by terrorists, and before that also there was this Indian Air Force personnel, they have been attacked, and after before that there was these villagers which has been attacked. So they are targeting security personnel as well as the civilians over there. We will see what has changed in the last few years and why these attacks are happening after 2021 again. Okay, because for a period, if we say from 2005 to 2020, this is a period of 15 years, we have witnessed some kind of calmness in the valley at that point of time. Okay, so what has changed? Okay, so we will talk about that. The news says that PM says deploy full spectrum of counter terror steps in Jammu and Kashmir, take stock of situation with Amit Shah, Lieutenant Governor at review meeting, NSA to present. Okay, so basically they have gone after this attack, they have gone for a meeting, they have reviewed the situation over there, and he has said that there should be a full spectrum counter terror steps to be taken in Jammu and Kashmir. Here you can say a meeting was chaired by Mr. Modi. Narendra Modi, who chaired meeting Thursday to review the situation in J&K, directed deployment of full spectrum of counter terror capabilities. Okay, Minister Amit Shah was also present over there, and they have discussed counter terror operations and deployment of the security forces. When we are talking about these attacks, here you can see recently, last Sunday there was this attack in which 9 pilgrims were killed, and nearly 33 got injured. Before that also we have these last month Indian Air Force convoy was attacked. Before that there was this incident happened wherein a 40-year-old villager was killed. So these incidents are increasingly happening in the area of south of the Pir Panjal. Okay. Before going into all these things, I would like to tell you the area over here. Here you can see this is the map, or you can say physical map of India, showing the, you can say, upper part, that is Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh region. Okay. So when we look at this particular area, this attacks has happened somewhere over here in Riyasi or some Riyasi area. Okay. So this attack has happened something like this. Okay. This is Valley of Kashmir, this is area, this is the whole area which is under the Pir Panjal. Okay. Now we are considering this as the south of Pir Panjal. Okay. So basically you can see this area over here is basically Pir Panjal ranges. Okay. See, this is Pir Panjal. Then when we see this particular area over here, this area Poonch and Rajouri, these are the area which are present in that particular expanse. Okay. Now you must have heard about this districts Poonch, Rajouri. They have been in news because again and again these attacks are happening in this particular area. One more area is there, Surankot. This area used to serve as a, you can say, camp for terrorists way back in 2000s. Okay. When we are talking about 1990s and 2000s, that was the time when these attacks were very frequent, and at that point of time this area used to be acting as a camp, because this is a geography which is kind of harsh. You know that these are forests and these are hills. Okay. So this geography is kind of harsh over here. Okay. And that is why these attacks were planned in such a way, or these camps were planned in such a way that they can take a rest over there, or you can say the training activity can happen or planning can happen at that area. So this is the area, that is Surankot, which has been in news last year. So there are chances that they might ask you somewhere. Now problem is, since this is a hilly and you can say very harsh terrain, so intellectual, or you can say our intelligence bodies, they are not able to gather much information from this particular area because of the geography. Okay. Other than that, patrolling is an issue over here, because obviously the geography is harsh, so patrolling is an issue because accessibility is not there. So that is why these areas are kind of an opportunity for these attackers to come through, to infiltrate across the LOC using these areas. Okay. Now coming to the reasons, if we see over the last 3 years, areas south of Pir Panjal range have seen a spike in the terror activities. Rajouri and Poonch district, there are 38 soldiers and 11 civilians has been killed since 2021. Okay. So that is the level of, you can say, terror which has increased in the last 3-4 years. Okay. Now while the army and the security forces has established counter infiltration and the counter terrorism grid in this particular area along the line of control and the hinterland of Jammu and Kashmir, various geographical and the terrain challenges make it difficult to plug all the gaps, foolproof it from the inflation. As I told you, since this area is harsh climatic region, or you can say harsh geographical regions, and because of which these you cannot go for the full fledged patrollings over here. So even though we are having this counter infiltration grids, we are having counter terrorism grid, still there are some kind of gaps which are there, and that gaps are basically acting as the opportunity for them. Now area to the south of Pir Panjal can be assessed through easier and all weather infiltration routes, lack adequate logistical support there, and infiltrators not only target security personnel but also the civilians. Okay. So since this geography is not very good over there, and that is why these you can say militants, they are basically crossing the LOC from these areas. Okay. Now two main roads passing through this particular area, Jammu Srinagar highway is there, and then old Mughal road connecting Poonch and Shopian in the valley, it is there. So that is why this area is quite, when we are talking about the connectivity, this is already poor in that particular area, and recently we have these two highways which are making it statistically important for us. Okay. Other than that, there are demographic situations over there when we are talking about the people which are living over there. Okay. When we see the situations in 2005, when we have eliminated, or you can say we have sanitized these areas from the terrorist activities, at that point of time the locals were in support of you can say military or our defense services over there, because these militants, they were also targeting the civilians at that point of time as well. Okay, so they had started supporting the, you can say, Indian army, and they have started being the informants, etc. Okay, and ultimately with the help of the communities like Gujars and Bakarwals, we have actually eliminated terrorism from that area. We have sanitized this area, and because of which this is the time 2005 to 2020, this is the time we have seen peace prevailed in that particular area. Now what changed after that? After that, what happens is that, you know, that these incidents like Doklam, Galwan, etc. started happening at the LAC, and because of which our security forces has shifted the focus to the LAC. And when focus was shifted to LAC, these, you know, Rashtriya Rifles, which used to be deployed in this particular area, they were actually redeployed to the along the LAC, and because of which there was a gap in the deployment in the LOC area, and ultimately they have got the opportunity, the militants and the terrorist has got the opportunity to, get a stronghold in this particular area again. Now what happens with the demography over there? What is the, issue when we are talking about the earlier we had these people, local people in our support, and now they are not. Earlier when it was happening, they were in support because at that point of time they were all, fighting terrorism. There was this thing, terrorism versus the civilians over there. But recently what has happened, because of the forest laws, because of the, inter community disputes, etc., their you can say focus is divergent on other issues. Okay, they are for employment, etc., they are going outside from that particular area. They are actually, focusing on the intercommunal community issues, etc. So that is why they are not focused on this particular areas, this particular issue of terrorism. Okay, so that is one issue over there, that is related to the demographic constitution. Then second is the geographically lay of the land. When we are talking about the terrains, that is all second issue. Forested hills of lower altitude, that is there, which we have already discussed, and that is why these areas are often targeted by the militants. Okay, now pattern, if we see, there is a change in the pattern as well. Now what they are doing is that they are operating in a small pockets. Okay, so a group of 10 to 12 militants come, or they infiltrate through the LOC, and then they will divide into, small groups of 2-3 people, and then whenever they get the opportunity, wherever they get the chance, they go for the attacks like this. So here you can see a group of 10 to 12 trained militants spread out in subgroups and carry intensive reconnaissances and take advantage of any vulnerability noticed in the counter terrorist grid. Okay, so that is why these are the reasons. See, when we are talking about the other reasons, like there is a hatred related to when we are talking about when we see how these terrorists are trained, they are brainwashed. Okay, so they are filled with a kind of hatred against our country. So that is why these are some superficial you can say reasons. Okay, ultimately what why these terrorism activities has happened, that is the reason, because there are some kind of gaps and they are exploiting those gaps. Okay, so from the securities point of view, these reasons becomes important for you. Now here you can say terrorists have been able to remain undetected and avoid any kind of contact in the last 7 to 8 months, indicates the lack of actionable intelligence on their presence and or the mode of their infiltration and the replenishment while they are here. So basically what we are seeing over here is that we lack information, we lack intelligence over here. How so? Because earlier those people over here, they were also be part of these intelligence grid. Okay, now since they are not communicating, they are not doing any kind of contact, and that is why we are not able to intercept the information. Okay, and because of which these activities are happening. Okay, now lack of adequate actionable intelligence on infiltration of the terrorist and their sustenance, thinning of the security forces from the hinterland. As I told you earlier, when we are talking about the time of 2000 to 2005, there was these operations which were going on like Surf, Vinas, etc. These are the operations which has happened over there, and during those operations the forces were deployed in even in the hinterland areas. But after 2020 or after 2018, we see after that Galwan issue has happened, we have redeployed our forces to the LAC, and because of which there is some kind of void which has been created in the hinterland. Okay, and because of, you can say, thinning of security forces has happened in the hinterland, and increased influx of narcotics. Now narcotics and drug is another you can say tool to exploit the local demography over there. Okay, so that is about the issue which are related to your terrorism. We have also talked about this area. For other than that, from geographical point of view, these area is important, like we have Pir Panjal over here, we have Zanskar Valley, we have Trans Himalayas, then Karakoram range. All these things are important. Other than that, this area, that this is basically your Aksai Chin area, which has been illegally occupied by China, okay, and we have LOC somewhere like this, okay, because this area has also been illegally occupied by Pakistan, okay. So these are certain things which you can remember from this particular area, okay. So I hope that is clear. Now moving further to the next part, why NTA withdrew grace marks awarded to 1563 students, okay. So you know that the controversy we have already discussed in news. If you are not aware of it, I will just give you a brief. What has happened in NEET 2024 undergraduate examination? So obviously you know that these examinations are related to the admissions in the medical colleges or the higher education, if we are talking about, for your undergraduate, postgraduate, and the you can say your doctorate, etc. But when we are talking about this particular exam, this was related to your undergraduates, and what has happened in that exam is was there were certain issues which has happened, like there was time was not given, etc., and because of which certain grace marks was given, and because of these grace marks, so some students, nearly 67 students, has scored 720 out of 720. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing is, some students were there who has scored 718, 790, such kind of score as well. That is not possible in such exam, because when we are talking about this NEET exam, the highest possible score is 720 and second highest possible score is 716, because one question is of 4 marks. So if you leave a question, then you will be you will be lacking 4 marks, so that is basically 760. Okay, and if you are marking a question wrong, or you have attempted all the questions and you are marking a question wrong, so basically 4 marks will be deducted for that particular question, and a negative will be awarded for the attempting a wrong question. Okay, so ultimately that is the maximum mark, that is 720, if you have got every question right, and then second best marks would be 760. But these marks like 718 and 719, these are not justified, and because of which various people has moved to the court, and there were other allegations like there was this paper leak, wrong papers has been distributed, etc., etc. Okay, then there was this you can say grievance redressal committee of the NTA. They have come up with an you can say there was this allegations that time was not given properly. Okay, so because of which in certain centers, like 6 centers were there where these allegations were there, the time was not given properly, and because of which NTA has gone for the grievance redressal, and they have said that as per the Supreme Court judgment in CLAT, on the basis of which we will be going for the normalization, and then grace marks will be given to those people at that particular center. And because of these grace marks, you have seen these incidences like wherein you have gotten the marks like 718, 719. Okay, so these grace marks has started this issue. Okay, second thing is these 720 out of 720, that had started an issue. Now that matter goes to the further in the courts, etc., and now they have actually made a committee. Okay, and that committee has come up with their recommendation, and committee has said that these grace marks will be removed. Okay, actual marks which the students has got, that will be shown to the students, and then those who are not satisfied out of these 1563 students, they can actually go for a retest. That retest will happen on June of 23rd, or you can say 23rd of June, and then whatever marks they will get, that will be considered their actual marks. Okay, so either you will accept the actual marks before this retest, okay, and then you don't have to give the retest. If you don't accept those marks, then you have to go for a retest. Okay, so the issue wherein they have said that they have lost time because of certain issues which has happened at the center, and that is why these grace marks were given, and that grace marks has been removed. And now if there is a issue of time was there, if at all, so you have to give a retest on the 23rd of June. So that is what has happened, and that is what this article is all about. Why NTA withdraw the grace marks? Because they have made a high level panel, and that panel says that the grievance committee which was made earlier, which has awarded the grace marks, they did not consider various factors. Like when we are talking about the, you can say, a particular center. Okay, so there is no automated, or you can say these exams were on OMR, okay, and not computer based exam. So in the computer based exam you have this time stamp over there. Okay, but in the OMR based exams, these are dependent on the the whatever center authorities are there, they decide for the, you can say, bells over there for 2 hours or 3 hours. Okay, so there is no such time stamps which are available in the OMR sheet based examinations. Other than that, if we see, there are only proofs, like evidences, like they relied on the evidences like the interviews of the invigilators, examiners, and the other staff over there, CCTV cameras, etc. Okay, so that is why there are certain issues which has happened. Second thing is the nature of examination, like CLAT, and these are totally different. So such things has not been considered by the grievance redressal committee of NTA. So that is why they have said that we will go for the retest. So that is all about the issue. For us, this is not much of an importance. What is important for us is that what is your NEET examination about. Okay, National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test. The NEET, that is National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, is an entrance examination for students who wish to pursue an undergraduate medical courses like MBBS and BDS, postgraduate courses like MD and MS, and or you can say in other areas. You have this when we are talking about the National Testing Agency, we will talk about that later anyway. So objective of this particular examination is to make sure that the process of admission is standardized. Okay, to standardize the admission process for the medical and the dental courses across India, is showing uniform evolution in the candidates eligibility. Okay, then National Testing Agency is the body under the Ministry of Education which is conducting this particular exam. Okay, now let's talk about the National Testing Agency. Here you can see it is an autonomous organization in India. It is responsible for conducting entrance examination for higher education institutes like you can say undergraduate college, postgraduate college, and PhD or doctoral colleges. Okay, headquarters is at Delhi, and it was established in November 2017 by the Ministry of Education to standardize and streamline the conduct of entrance examination across India. Objective is to improve the quality and the transparency of the entrance examination, ensuring fairness and efficiency in the assessment of the process. Very simple. Okay, so there is nothing to explain. Just know that it is under the Ministry of Education, and it was set up in 2017 November. Headquarters is in Delhi. What is the aim of this examination? To standardize and make sure that the examination is going through fair and transparent manner. Okay, so that is about this thing. Now moving further. Next article, which is related to 5 elephants, 140 forest officials, and the tranquilizer dart. This is how they have actually targeted, or you can say captured, a tiger which has killed a man in Madhya Pradesh. Okay. Now all these things are not important. What is important is that where this incident has happened. Okay, where this tiger will be translocated, because they are protected areas, and protected areas are important for us. Okay. So what has happened in the area of Ratapani Wildlife Sanctuary? This tiger was there in the Raisen district over there, and then actually it has killed a farmer over there, and then it was roaming around in that particular area. So they have actually used some elephants, forest officials, and the tranquilizer. Okay, so that is the news. This was the first time the big cat had seen an elephant in his life. Okay, so that is an interesting fact, but not important for us. Had seen an elephant in its life. It was not accustomed to seeing a mammoth while traversing the forest of the Ratapani Wildlife Sanctuary. Now this location is important. Second thing is, this particular elephants which were used over here, they has been called from Kanha. Okay, Kanha protected area, you know this. Okay, and other than that, when we are talking about this particular tiger, it will be transferred to Satpura. It will be transferred to Satpura. It will be kept in a captivity over there in a particular area, and then they will be you can say monitoring his behavior over there, and they will decide if it is a man eater or not. Okay, as of now we cannot say it is a man eater, because it was merely an accident wherein he has actually killed a man which was in his vicinity or in his habitat. Okay, so that is about the article. Now coming to these 3 locations over here. One is your Ratapani over here. You can see this particular area over here is your Ratapani. Okay, it is Madhya Pradesh map, and in Madhya Pradesh we have Ratapani Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay. Then second is Satpura, from for where this particular tiger will be, you can say, translocated. Okay. So these are the 2 things which is important for you. Other than that, when we are talking about these elephants, they have been taken from the Kanha Tiger Reserve. Okay, that is the third thing. Other than that, the Pench is important for you. Okay, because that is on the boundary of Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. Second thing, when we are talking about Panna Tiger Reserve, that is also important, because you must have heard about this Ken Betwa water linking projects, because of which that is also in news. Okay, Then this Durgavati Wildlife Sanctuary, this status of this particular area has been changed. So that is for you to go and check what has happened over here. That was it was also in the news. So that is basically there are certain areas which was in news. Other than that, also like Kuno Palpur has been news because of the cheetahs. Okay. Other than that, Noradehi has been in news. So please remember all these tiger reserves and protected areas. Okay. Now moving further to the next article, which is basically related to you can say landslide which has happened in areas of Sikkim. 6 killed, 1500 tourists stranded, and as landslide rain wreaked the havoc in Sikkim. Okay. So when we are talking about, again, when we are talking about this particular incident, location is important. Okay, reason is important. Reason is basic that there was this rainfall which has happened in Sikkim, and because of the rainfall, you know that when there are these areas, when there are these rocks and you can say these soils etc. there, because of the rainfall there will be less friction, and there are chances that in the cracks and the faults there can be water which is going over there, and such incident can happen like landslides. Okay, so that is there. Massive landslide triggered by the incident rainfall caused devastating effect in the, you can say, Sikkim's Mangan district. Okay, so that is there. The situation has worsened with the overflowing Tista River. Okay, now because of the landslide, this issue has been there, and then when we are talking about the Tista, the water flow is more. So there are, Tista has caused floods in the recent past as well. So that is there. Northern Sikkim or North Sikkim has been completely isolated due to the landslide on the National Highway 10, the lifeline connecting the regions, that is Kalimpong in the West Bengal. Okay, so that is there. Now here you can see when we are talking about the Tista basin, Tista is a tributary of Brahmaputra. We will talk about that. So here you can say somewhere in Sikkim it is starting. These are the streams which is forming Tista, and then it is going to, this is Sikkim. Then it is flowing through West Bengal and then in Bangladesh. So there are two Indian states, Sikkim and West Bengal, in which Tista River flows, and then it goes to Bangladesh. Okay, and where it merges with the Brahmaputra River. So that is thing. Second thing is this Chungtang. Chungtang is a place that was kind of a glacier, and you must have heard about this glacial lake outburst floods. We have talked about it again and again, so I won't be repeating it again. So that is Chungtang is also has been in news. Okay. Now coming to the Tista River over here, it is a trans-Himalayan river which originates in the Himalayas and flows through the Indian states of Sikkim and West Bengal before entering Bangladesh, where it flows into Brahmaputra River. So we can say that it is a tributary of Brahmaputra River. So please remember that. Then Tista River is considered to be the lifeline of the Sikkim. Okay, so that is important for us. The flow of the Tista is greatest during the summer, June to September, when the monsoon rains are heaviest and the glacial supply is abundant of the meltwater. Okay, main tributary is Ranjit River. Okay, so that is about Tista River. So you can remember all these parts. Now moving further to the next article, which is related to the G7 summit, which is actually going on. Now when we are talking about this particular summit, nothing we will be waiting for the outcome. Right now we will be seeing 2-3 things over here, that these particular summit, that our Prime Minister has also been invited, though we are not members of G7, but yet to witness we have been you can say invited over there. Leaders of group of 7, that is G7 major democracies, agreed to outline deal on Thursday to provide 50 billion of loans for Ukraine using interest from the Russian sovereign assets frozen after Moscow invaded the neighboring country. Okay, so basically when in 2022, it has happened in February 2022, Russia has attacked Ukraine. After that, there are various Western allies which has gone for freezing the Russian assets in their countries, and they are saying that whatever interest is generated, these assets are generating, we will basically create a fund that is basically 50 billion US dollars. Okay, so that will be provided to Ukraine. The centerpiece of the opening day in southern Italy of the annual summit of G7 leaders attended for a second successive year by Ukrainian president, that is Volodymyr Zelensky. Okay, so Ukrainian president has also attended this particular G7, and again he is also not a member of this particular you can say grouping. Okay, they have also gone for the signing a 10-year security accord with Japan on the sidelines of the summit. Again we are talking about Ukraine over here. Japan would provide Ukraine with a 4.5 billion this year. Zelensky will also sign a new long-term security accord with US presidents. G7 plan for Ukraine is based on the multi-year loan using profits from the from some 300 billion of the impounded Russian funds. As I told you, they have gone for the freezing the Russian assets, and from that they will be getting this much amount of money, that is $300 billion of the fund, and they will actually give it kind of a loan to Ukraine in the long term. Okay, so that is about it. The aim of the deal was to ensure that it can run for years regardless of who is in power each state. Okay, so basically what is happening over here is that they have actually created this fund. Even if, when we are talking about the G7 countries, if there is a kind of a regime change, etc., what has happened, but still the Ukraine will be getting a supply. Okay, the United States has agreed to provide a fund of up to 50 billion US dollars. So that fund, basically here we are talking about this you can say fund, because United States, actually that there are elections which are on the way, and there are chances that if the president the former president Trump comes back to power, that he has these America centric policies. He was an inward looking person, so there was this speculations that he might not be interested in investing in Ukraine, and that is why this fund was created. Okay, Russia regarded attempts by the West to take income from these frozen assets as a crime, because obviously these are Russian assets that has been frozen by these Western countries. Okay, but this is depending on the Russia and the Western allies, we don't have to judge on that if it is a crime or not. Moscow's response would be very painful for the European Union. Okay, so that is what Russia has said, that if they will respond to it, they will reciprocate this, that would be harmful for the you can say European Union. Okay, now you can go through this particular part over here, that is not important for us, because they have actually when we are talking about the Israel and Hamas issues, everyone is talking the same thing, that there should be a ceasefire, etc., and the USA's efforts with respect to the new plan has been appreciated over here. So all these things are written over here, so we don't have to go through it. Now G7, when we are talking about, so Germany, UK, France, Canada, Japan, Italy and USA, these are the members of G7. Okay, mostly here you can see these are the developed countries over. Okay, so that is the grouping of 7. Other than that, Russia, before Russia was also part of it, that is why it was G8, but now Russia is not there after 2000 Crimean annexation. Okay, then when we are talking about the G20, along with them, these are the countries of G20. Recently it has increased to G20 plus African Union. Okay, and that particular change has happened in India's presidency. So that things you can remember from this article. Now moving to the next part, for your own read, there is this article, maximum in 15 years of data this summer, most number of heat waves days, and we are still counting. So you can say that this year was kind of a warmest year. Okay, so you can go through this particular article if you want, otherwise no need, because it has been covered earlier as well. We have seen why heat waves are there, etc., all these things were there. Okay, now since it was in newspaper, so I have taken it. Okay, now moving to the last part, that is basically your practice question. Which of the following is not a function of NTA, National Testing Agency, conducting exams, developing question papers, implementing government policies, processing exam results? So you have to attempt this question and answer in the comment box. You have to choose the most appropriate answer out of these. Okay, so with that, I would like to wrap up the session. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. Have a nice day. Thank you.